we gather here today, bound together in sorrow and loss, we share a precious gift. We are all of us privileged to live a life that has been touched by Superman. The Man of Steel possessed many extraordinary gifts, and he shared them with us freely. None of these gifts were more remarkable than his ability to discern what needed to be done, and his unfailing courage in doing it, whatever the personal cost. Let us all strive to accept his gift and pass it along as an ongoing tribute to Kal-El of Krypton, the immigrant from the stars who taught us all how to be heroes.
Loneliness is synonymous with perceived social isolation, not with objective social isolation. People can live relatively solitary lives and not feel lonely, and conversely, they can live an ostensibly rich social life and feel lonely nevertheless. That's the thing about J'onn J'onz's loneliness. It's not that he doesn't have anyone. The distress comes from his social needs not feeling like they're being met. To him, everyone is a comrade before a friend. The Martian Manhunter lost his wife and 2 children due to being colonized by the Imperium forces. Then he's the sole survivor of his species. While everyone around him died, his focus and skills defeated the enemies, but during the mission, he didn't even realize he's all that's left. Thus, this tunnel vision of duty and service that defined the end of his life is the continuity that gives him purpose afterwards, as he stood guard for 500 years. As a result, when he's awakened to fight the Imperium forces once again and hesitantly joins the Justice League when Superman, a fellow last survivor, promised him he won't be alone anymore.
J'onn, we can never replace the family you've lost, but we'd be honored if you could learn to call Earth your home.
There's still a barrier in the quality of the relationships he has, because he overregulates himself with his duty.
You don't actually like humanity all that much, do you?
I don't dislike them.
Something changing your mind.
Weiss argue there are 6 provisions offered by social relationships. 1. Attachment, which is derived from relationships that provide a sense of security and commitment.
She's got your number, J'onn. You need to mingle.
2. Social integration, that's gained from relationships that provide a sense of companionship, shared concerns, and activities.
Mr. Terrific is more than capable, but I insist on remaining where I'm needed.
3. Opportunity for nurturance, obtained from relationships that provide a sense of being needed.
Do your thing.
And of being responsible for another's well-being. 4. Reassurance of worth, drawing from relationships that provide a sense of competence and being valued.
I realize it's a lot to ask, but Luthor...
I know. He must be stopped.
5. Reliable alliance, stemming from relationships that provide a sense of continuing assistance.
You must be terribly lonely.
And 6. Guidance, arising from relationships in which individuals can obtain trustworthy advice. There's 3 instances I want to highlight in J'onn's early career in the Justice League. First, during the search for Lex, J'onn tries a city-wide telepathic search, but was flooded with thousands of petty and selfish thoughts, which nearly destroyed him, both mentally and emotionally, so took refuge in an isolated forest, until he saw people selflessly looking for a lost runaway child.
I'm freezing my butt off and I don't even know the kid. But I know how I'd feel if she was my little girl. Hey, wait up!
So he helps, and thus, his faith in humanity is restored. Second, during Grodd's secret society attack, who influences the Justice League to being really mad at each other, in which J'onn was the first to leave.
I arrived here, not knowing a soul, and you took me in. You became my new family. But what's the use of a family if it diminishes us as individuals?
What are you...
I'm saying I survived the loss of one family, and I'll survive this one too.
He was also the one who evaded capture by masquerading as Clayface when he duped Killer Frost, so he released his comrades before they're publicly killed and everyone made up. Third, after Superman died, at his funeral, J'onn pronounced the eulogy, where he told the story of the immigrant from the stars, clearly in reference to a shared experience of them both. I picked these 3 moments because they're all narratively noticeable in painting a portrait of a reluctant man who's always on the edge.
The hatred shouldn't have surprised me, but the selfishness, the sheer volume of it, the cheap attempts to disguise it, What do you know? A fresh rabbit every now and then and you're happy. At least you're honest. What am I fighting for? Who am I fighting for?
People give him purpose because of his principles to serve those who need help, to honor and reciprocate the companionship of others.
I can grow into it.
His integration isn't an act, but he's not fully into it enough for him to not be always surprised by what feelings people give him.
Diana, you and I have both been affected by our time among humans. It's important that we keep ourselves in check.
So it's kind of fitting that this distance would lead to Jean taking monitor duty when the League expanded to an unlimited membership. He's even smiling about it. This reaction, I think, says a lot. Participating in his world is hard, but viewing it at a distance while enjoying the company from the role of a spectator, that's comforting. It's something he's an expert in.
Difficult as it may be for you to believe, I don't take your love life into consideration when I make command decisions.
As the official coordinator, he kept watch on a global scale, handing out assignments.
Ahem.
Booster Gold. Wait, I'm assigning a support team.
However, such separation doesn't come with its own consequences. After 2 years, he's still just there.
You've been cooped up like a hermit in the watchtower for almost 2 years now.
I can better serve the League.
We're not even going to have that argument.
Over the years, among comrades, he still feels lonely because instead of living and enjoying the provisions granted to him by his community, he feels colder and more isolated because he doesn't allow himself to connect with them. One of the consequences of loneliness and implicit vigilance for social threats is a diminished capacity for self-regulation. The ability to regulate one's thoughts, feelings, and behavior is critical to accomplish personal goals or to comply with social norms. Feeling socially isolated impairs the capacity to self-regulate, and these effects are so automatic as to seem outside of awareness. Diana and Jean parallel each other as newcomers in man's world, but where she eventually learned to love humanity and got a boyfriend and saw everyone's value, Jean became more reclusive.
Maybe take a meal in the commissary every once in a while.
My Martian physiology doesn't require as many meals as a human.
You know what he means.
As a result, time feels frozen for Jean, because when you're alone, there's nothing to anticipate. However, when things go wrong on Diana's trip, Jean reluctantly joins in, but afterwards he declares,
I've been thinking about what you said, and about the horrible despair of Prince John's life.
Weary of the endless fight for justice and despairing in his loneliness, he sailed north, beyond the boundaries of the known world, and passed from the knowledge of men.
I'm a Martian. I'll live far longer than he did. And unless I find a way to connect with humanity, I'll live out that time totally alone. I can't learn what I need to learn on the Watchtower.
While he hugs him, Diana smiles, and Jean smiles in reply. This is the right thing. He arrives on Earth and blends in to learn. For Jean to finally enjoy his home, to be a part of it, he has to choose to not stay in one place for his duty, but wander for a bit. Be his own responsibility. The next time we see Jean, it's during Darkseid's final invasion. He had succeeded. He was living happily in China with a middle-aged wife who was aware of his true self.
I have to go help.
I know.
Then after the invasion, he joined the League in having fun and pursuing the final members of the Legion of Doom, and spoke to his wife on his phone, confirming he's coming home for dinner.
I should be back in time for dinner. I love you too.
These are the end times.
Staring at the wall, I know you really love the color. We picked it out over the phone. Remember what you said, but I could never tell the meaning. I try to see what I have been shown. Staring at the pictures now, I know they try to show me. I cannot see, but God knows I try. Believer of the mysteries, I try to find a way not to cry.
Alright, so that was the Martian Manhunter video, which means all I have left now in the DCU character analyses of the main League members is Wonder Woman. Cool. Special thanks to everyone on Patreon. Videos have been a little bit sparser recently because I've just been watching more stuff to make more stuff about. So, seriously, special thanks to you guys.
see you in hell!